Welcome to the 1111 Synchronized broadcast. Everyone take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Inhaling the love and exhaling the love. Hope everyone is doing well, staying safe, being well, being wise, making good decisions out there, especially with a lot of stuff opening or closing or what have you, finding the best path possible for yourself. Now, if you have any topic requests that you'd like to hear covered or any features you like, whether you like me to be featured on your page or if you'd like to be featured on mine, let me know what those are. Send those into my inbox at Agent K21 Podcast on Instagram or on Instagram and Twitter at Agent K21. You can find me on all the social media platforms. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Let me know. Let's get it. So as always, please keep what resonates, leave what doesn't. Okay, these messages may not be for everyone, and that is quite all right. I wish everyone well and safe travels on their journey. So, we are in a very unique season right now. As things are starting to transition and moving into a new change, if you will. One thing that we all need for change, as change is the only constant thing, we need trust. We need to trust the process as it unfolds. Now, we're going to dive deep into what that actually means, at least what it means to me. And hopefully there'll be some things that will help you along your way, along your path, some things that resonate with you as well. Now, I've mentioned before previously that we have a lot of planets in retrograde right now. Now, that might mean something to you, that might mean nothing, but everything works together. The stars, the universe, everything aligns and works together. And needless to say, another planet is joining the retrograde season. Now, you guys know this planet. Most of you will know this planet. Very famous, very notorious retrograde. Mercury has now entered the retrograde season as well. Welcome, Mercury, to the party. Mercury is the planet of communication. Now, when a planet retrogrades, it starts to spin in a different direction than it previously was going in. And so that can cause some mishaps, some, different things. Systems can break down. Things can be out of haywire. Just things might seem a little like what's going on, right? It usually has to do with some planetary movements. Not always, but most of the time it can be that. So Mercury, being the planet of communication, retrograding in the water sign of Cancer has to do with emotions. So meaning that this week in particular, and probably the next couple of weeks coming up, we're going to be learning how to communicate with our emotions. Now, that's great timing for this topic I'm going to talk about of trusting the process, because the emotions, our feelings, our emotions, they will be your compass on trusting the process. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, diving deep into that. But as we transition and move into different things, there's going to be a lot of emotional well-being, emotional energy stirring up. And this is a chance for us to invite the emotional body to have a seat at the table and learn to communicate with our emotions. That's going to require vulnerability, honesty, transparency, and courage. And so, depending on our different backgrounds and cultures, we may be taught that crying is weak or that emotions or sensitivity is not a good thing. Well, if you've been taught that, let me tell you, you're in the right place, because sensitivity, emotions, they are wonderful gifts and tools. Being an empath is a beautiful gift. Being intuitive, being in tune, being in touch, being emotional. I see it as a beautiful, precious gift, so feel no shame about that. I think that that's beautiful, and that makes each and every one of us beautiful, to be able to tap into our emotions. And this entire process of trusting the process is trusting your emotions. Now, that can be hard if we've had negative experiences with our emotions or been shamed to not feel our emotions, taught not to cry, things like that. Crying is the purest form of releasing toxic energy and just energy in general, right? There's nothing wrong with crying, and if that's been your belief in your upbringing, let me just tell you, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly okay to cry, and I encourage it. It's very healthy. You can tell a healthy man or woman or person based on their ability to cry, to release their emotions, to communicate their emotions in a healthy way. Because when we do not communicate our emotions, they become stagnant, they become stuck, they can become dark and dense and create a lot of negative emotions like resentment and bitterness and fear and anxiety, things like that. So, trusting the process. What does that even mean? What does it mean to trust the process? What process? I'm not in a process. What are you talking about? What process? The process of life, the beautiful journey, the spiritual awakening, the process of enlightenment. Those are processes that we all enter in when we agree and birth ourselves. Well, not birth ourselves, but when we are born into this physical dimension. There's a process. Now, each person has their own path, has their own purpose, has their own process. So what that process is to you will vary from different people and will vary in different stages, depending on where you are in your life, your chronological age, your spiritual age, different things like that will determine how your process is and what you need during that process. So this is a judgment-free zone. Don't judge yourself or anyone else for where they are in their development, their process, their learning, right? We're all learning. And the process is a never-ending story. The process is the destination. Because once you reach a certain destination, you'll find yourself looking for the next and the next. You reach one goal, you're looking for the next. You manifest one dream, you accomplish one dream, you fulfill something. There's something else that you're going to want after that. So the process is the destination. There is no end goal. There is no bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow. You just continue to dive deeper, continue to grow wiser and to search and to embrace all the beauty that's around you. That is trusting the process. And the process, like I said, is different for everyone. But one thing you'll realize, one thing that you may realize once you enter, especially a spiritual process, is essentially dismantling all of the facades and the status quos that we've been given, and the personality and ego and all that kind of stuff starts to fade away. And you come back to your true self, your true, authentic, pure self. No longer clogged with what other people think of you or even what you think of yourself, but you start to dismantle all those beliefs and things that never were really yours in the first place. When you start to awaken on the spiritual path, it's really an unlearning of everything you've learned and coming back to the true essence of who you truly are and embracing and loving that unconditionally. And what you'll find is that you've been worthy and you've been loved and you've been multidimensional this entire time, and that there's not been anything wrong with you, that at your core you are love. You are love. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to find it. It may find you. You may search for it, but essentially it is you. You are in fact that love. We come from love, from the spirit of love, and we return to that spirit of love. Underneath everything, you are worthy. And if that finds not resonating well with you, or you find really yourself in resistance to even hearing that, believing that, receiving that, that shows where you are in the process. That if you struggle, as we all do at some point, to see ourselves as beautiful, as worthy, as lovable, there's still a lot of, baggage and trauma and things like that that have distorted our view of ourselves. And, there's nothing wrong with wherever you find yourself on this journey, because it's a never-ending journey. So things that you're going to need on this process, you're going to need trust. Hence, trust the process. That is the foundational thing that you will need for anything. You're going to need trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the universe at large, trust that good things are attracted towards you. Just trust that you can make it, you can do this. And with the trust, you're also going to need faith. Faith when you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. Faith when you don't know which way to go. Faith when you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, you don't even know if you're on the right path. You have to have that faith, that unshakable knowing within yourself that you are doing this and you are going to be well. Along with faith, you're going to need hand in hand grace and hope. Now, grace is that gift that we can grant ourselves of saying, I might not deserve this, or I might not feel worthy of this, but I am still worthy of it, if that makes sense. It's that overshadowing, it's that covering to say, okay, that's that second chance, that's that redemption, that's that, that grace that is sufficient to take you to the next level, right? It's that opportunity. Now, the previous episode was about grace, so if you're not exactly sure what I mean by that, there's an episode on grace as well as there's an episode on faith. So please check those two out as well. But I feel like what's holding the hand of grace is hope. And I feel like that is also something you're going to need in combination to trust the process. When you take that leap of faith, you have to hope and know that your foot is going to land safely on the next platform that you just leaped to. You have to hope that good things will come to you. You have to have a positive attitude. You have to hope for the best. You know what they say? I think they say this: hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Well, I just say hope for the best. Yeah, you can prepare for the worst, but that's inviting in the worst. I say hope for the best. Hope beyond hope. Hope when you don't even know why you feel so hopeful. And through that, you'll be able to see things that will remind you of why you're hopeful. Because wherever you put your attention, that's where your energy is going to go. So if you put your attention towards hoping for the best, next thing you know, you're going to start seeing the best just show up in your surroundings. It could be something as simple as a child smiling at you, or you hear, the right thing at the right time, or you walk into a store and you get something, or you run into your best friend. Whatever the case is, it's that little glim of hope, that little silver lining of hope that reminds you, I'm hoping that I will see my destination. I'm hoping to receive this. I'm hoping to gain this. I'm hoping to manifest XYZ. And you will. And the thing that also you're going to need prior to trusting the process, because we have to first, before we can even start to have these positive affirmations and great attitude, we have to assess where we are. So where are you when it comes to trusting the process? Now, if we have experienced uncertainty, as we currently have experienced that, globally, uncertainty and distrustfulness and betrayals and skepticism and realism and all these different things that can kind of hinder our view, our gaze on trusting the process. We have to assess that first. We have to meet our needs where we are first. So again, there's nothing wrong if there's, you hear the word trust the process and you roll your eyes, or you kind of suck your teeth at that thought because you're like, that ain't for me. Well, then that shows you where there's a resistance. And you have to work with the resistance first. You have to ask, am I in a state of allowing or resisting? And that will show you what, needs to be a little bit more attention on. So for those who have had trouble trusting themselves, or have felt powerless, or have felt, have been gaslighted and manipulated, and just had so many trauma and toxic relationships and PTSD and all of these different things that can happen, our trust could be shaken a little. What I recommend as a way to trust again, to learn how to trust, is to start on an energetic level. Start with meditation. There's an entire episode on what meditation is to help you assist with that. But energetically, trust is connected to your first chakra, which is going to be your root chakra. And that has to do with safety and survival. And I feel like anytime trust is shaken, your safety and survival gets a little shaken, because that's usually the area that needs a little bit of attention whenever there's distrustfulness towards the universe or towards yourself or towards others. There's probably an imbalance there. So I would say start with your root chakra. Really focus on that. Really focus on the color red, eating red fruits and vegetables and wearing red colors, and really focusing on that presence of that first chakra, because that will help gain a sense of trust within yourself. What also can help you when it comes to trust is to speak the truth, to be the truth, to live your truth, to be authentic. If you have issues with trusting yourself or trusting other people, show yourself that you can trust yourself by, honoring yourself, being yourself, holding and maintaining your boundaries, setting the tone that you want to be treated, respecting yourself, really learning how to love yourself. And then on top of that, I would also say reminding yourself, keep a journal, keep a faith journal, keep a trust journal of the times when you really felt like you either trusted yourself or you trusted someone else. Now, I would say start with the times you've trusted yourself first, even if it was something small. I trusted myself to tie my shoes in the morning. Good job. Like, seriously. Just whatever, how big or small, doesn't matter. What matters is the more that you pay attention to the times that you did trust yourself. I trusted myself to put in that application there. I trusted myself to get myself out of that situation. There's so many examples, the list goes on, and hopefully you're thinking of a few for yourself right now. Start writing those down. Write them down on a piece of paper, Write them down where you can see them and remind yourself, oh, I did trust myself to do X, Y, Z. I did trust myself, or I did trust the universe or this person or the situation, and it worked out. Think about things that have actually worked out for your good. Think about things where you felt empowered. Think about those times. Focus on those. Now, if those situations are laced with trauma as well, try to find other situations that may not deal with, things that, when I say laced with trauma, I mean if it's like a good thing, but then also the shoe kind of dropped at the end, or it was good, but then you also have this negative memory or feeling or emotion that happened also. I would just say focus on the positive out of that situation, because even the negative situation can have something positive happen for you, depending on how you view it. And so the power is in your choices, and the power is in your gaze, really, in your focus. And so when you trust the process, what you're going to gain on the other side, because it's going to be a process, and on what you're gained through the process, as I said, the process is the destination. So what you will receive will be strength and courage and wisdom and intuition and insight and discernment. Those are the things that you're going to learn through the process and will carry you through the next one as well. And they continue to gain momentum. They continue to be harnessed even more. And so when it comes to trusting this process, as I mentioned, the compass to trusting that process is going to be your emotions and your feelings and your intuition. The main thing to trust the process is going to be your intuition. Now, what is intuition? So many questions. What is intuition? Intuition is that still small voice that leads you. It's that inner knowing. It's that feeling that you cannot explain. It's your instincts, essentially, at the same, in a token. It's your instincts, and it's your spiritual awareness to act with certainty in a situation. Even if you don't understand it, you feel led to do something. You feel drawn to do something, and you do it. And you see the dots connecting later, perhaps, of, oh, that's why I did that. That makes sense now. That's following your intuition. It doesn't make sense initially, but when you take that risk, that leap of faith to follow your intuition, at the end, you're like, oh, that's why I did that. And It kind of goes hand in hand with your instincts as well, but I think intuition is more of a spiritual guidance, and instinct is comes more from the animalistic reptilian mind that we can have, or that we all have. It comes more from that, but very similar. Now, key difference here when it comes to trusting the process, we might ask, how do I know what path to follow? How do I know I'm going in the right direction? The compass that will lead you will be your feelings and your emotions. Now, I have to say this because when we deal with our emotions, you have to follow your heart. Your heart is going to be your navigation system. If you do what you love, if you follow that, if you follow your joy, you'll end up right where you need to be. The thing with emotions and feelings is that we are, as I mentioned, it's all working together. So it's not necessarily saying trust your heart despite your mind, or trust your mind despite your heart. You have to get them to align. You have to get them to work together. Because your mind can process things that your heart is only feeling. Your heart doesn't know what the mind knows, and the mind doesn't know what the heart knows. So you have to get them to work hand in hand together, which can be really tricky. Because it can be really tricky because, a lot of times spiritual practices are, just different modalities may teach, just follow your heart, just follow your heart. True, do follow your heart, but take your brain with you. And I say that because just from my own experience, I might feel a certain way. I might feel really comfortable or really good, but my mind is telling me, you might want to double check the map on this one. And oftentimes when I've neglected either one over the other, it's like, oh, that's why. So all I'm saying is to trust both, but to not necessarily favor one over the other, but to get them to work hand in hand. Because a lot of times, I have to tell my logic, go sit down over there. That makes sense, but that's not what I feel. That might be logical, but that's not what my intuition or my heart is telling me. And so you really have to be discerning to know when, and have wisdom to know when to lead with the heart and when to kind of listen to the mind. I say lead with the heart, but listen to the mind. You listen to the mind and go, okay, I'll keep that in mind, but I'm going to follow my heart. And so the other thing I would caution when it comes to, am I going the right direction? Am I going the right path? As long as you follow your instinct, your gut, you'll end up in the right place. But I will say that your feelings are going to be your compass. Your feelings and your emotions, but more so your feelings. Now, there's a slight difference between feelings and emotions. They're used interchangeably, but I think they're very different. So what do I mean when I say feelings? Your feelings are going to be like, I felt drawn to go here or do this or say this. And then how you feel. Does it feel light? Does it feel, when I say light, I mean light as in a weight. Does it feel non-weight? Does it feel light? Does it feel happy? Does it feel joyous? Or does it feel heavy? Does it feel dense? Does it feel resistance? That is kind of the indication that's going to let you know, maybe I need to wait on this, or maybe I don't need to do this at all. Your emotions are going to register your feelings. So you might be feeling like, I don't want to do this. And your emotions might be expressing anxiety. Or here's another example. If you're going to give, and this is why I say it's important to use the mind and the heart and the gut all together. Because, for example, if you're going to give a public speech, your mind can logically see, okay, I'm feeling this way because I'm about to give a public speech. Your feelings are telling you, go the opposite way. You might feel your hands shaking, your hands might be sweaty, you might feel nauseous. Your feelings, if you're just basing it off of feelings, I would say maybe I shouldn't do this. But your mind is like, no, I really want to give this speech. This is important. Your emotions will tell you, okay, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Do I let that override what my mind is saying I should do this speech? Even though I'm nervous as heck, even though I feel like crap in this moment, I know that this is what I want to do or I feel led to do. That's a perfect example, not perfect, but that's an example at least of how the mind, heart, and gut can work together. So, understanding your feelings and what you're feeling in any given moment will help you make a decision. Now, it's important to understand and overstand the difference between your emotions and your feelings, because your feelings will tell you this is a positive experience or this is a negative experience. Your emotions, however, can range from a variety of different things. Now, every person or every spiritual teacher is not necessarily, for the light. They're not necessarily light workers. There are some not great forces out there, some dark forces, and a lot of times they use mind control, especially when you're emotional. So for an example, and also understanding the difference between instinct and impulsivity. When you're in a high emotional state, you're more inclined to act with impulse or without impulse. And there is a difference between being impulsive and being intuitive or being instinctual. And that difference is impulsive behavior usually is the result of emotion or the lack thereof emotion. And a lot of times you'll see people do impulsive spending or impulsive buying because they go into the grocery store and they didn't have any food and they're super hungry. So now they're buying the whole shelf. And it's just an impulsive spending because of an emotion and the feeling. Or you'll see, a lot of times you'll see a classic manipulation tactic. And when I say manipulation, it doesn't mean it's bad always. It just means it's a control mechanism to get a behavior. And that doesn't have to be bad or good. It just is a behavior. And so you'll see a commercial where people will get you in a really high emotional state of feeling really sad and sympathetic. And they'll show these orphans or, third world country stuff going on. And they'll say, donate, give us your money. And a lot of people may do that. Not because they're thinking, oh, I have, X amount of dollars in my account and I can do this. They might just go off of, well, I'm feeling really emotional right now. I feel really sad and vulnerable and helpless and I want to help these people. And so that's the only reason why I say be mindful of your emotions and what they are telling you. See them as information and help use that information to guide that compass and to evaluate how to move through your process. And so, just being mindful of the ways that tactics can be used, when you're really in a high emotional state that can be, breeding ground for being manipulated, whether positive or negative. And sometimes that works for your benefit, sometimes maybe not. Either way, I think it's important to say that there is no wrong step on the process. So if you're concerned about I made a mistake or I failed or I got it wrong, that's not even possible. You cannot get it wrong. Any step is a step. There's no right, wrong direction. And if you are going in a direction that is opposed to your soul, the universe will help get you back on track. So you don't have to worry about making a mistake or doing something wrong. The point is to always learn. Are you learning from the things that are happening? Are you remembering? Are you integrating all of these lessons? That's all it is. You might feel like, oh, I made this mistake or this really cost my career. And whether that's true or not, the point is, what did you learn from that? The only mistakes that are made are the ones that we continue to make. And even those are just more ammunition to, become your greatest self. So try not to look at it as a mistake or anything like that. Because what you're going to need to release during the process, in order for the process to flow, we need to release our fears, our worries, our doubts, our skepticism, our control, our anything that really operates out of that fear vibration. It's very difficult to trust when we're operating out of fear, because fear is distrust, whereas trust operates out of the love vibration. So those are things that can hinder, or that can skew our view of understanding the process, or trusting the process. We have to get rid of fear, worry, doubt, and control. And the key ingredient to trusting the process is surrender. That is the key ingredient. Surrender. That means let go of your control. Let go of your way or the highway. Let go of your perceptions. Let go of your expectations. Let go of just how you thought life should be. Let go of that image, that illusion, that painting. And it doesn't mean you give up on your desire or your dream. It just means that you're open to receiving it to fruition any way that it wants to show up. You're not limiting the universe. You're surrendering completely to it, knowing that the best will always happen. Now, depending on if you actually believe that or not, will really determine how the process unfolds for you. So, a couple mantras to keep in mind when you're trusting the process is: go with the flow. Go with the flow. Think of life as a streaming river. Are you swimming against the current, or are you going with it? Through all the changes, through all the processes, through all the different things that occur, are you going with them, or are you resisting them? Another mantra is follow your joy. Are you doing things that make you happy, or are you doing things out of obligation and have tos, shouldas, ought to, or are you really doing what makes you truly happy, despite how it looks, despite what other people are saying, despite anything else outside of you? Are you really following your own joy? And of course, the mantra, as the episode title goes, trust the process. No matter where you are on that process or on that journey, just trust it. Trust that you will always be led to your highest good. So I just want to encourage you all to remember who you are. Stay awake, be steadfast, stay encouraged, and remember that this too shall pass, whatever that means for you, wherever that is meeting you, that things do get better. Just hang on, hang in there. As they say, when you're at your end of the rope, tie a knot and hold on. So you will be all right. And just know that all is well. Everything is as it should be. The universe is always going to be for you, never against you. You just have to be for you and not against you as well. So everyone, take care, be easy, be kind to yourself, smile to yourself and to others, and always love and be love. And take care. Until next time.